Just 2 hours' drive from Nairobi in Kenya is Naivasha, a small town nestled in the Great Rift Valley. It has a picturesque lake in the middle and a thriving ecosystem of birds, plants, and animals, which makes it a great place to explore nature and unwind. Our trip from Nairobi to Naivasha took us through picturesque villages with views of gently rolling hills and densely forested areas. Soon we were driving over a ridge overlooking a vast abyss, the Great Rift Valley, which runs 9,600 kilometers all the way from Mozambique to the Red Sea. The views from the ridge are stunning, showing a vast expanse of land home to a thriving ecosystem of plants, trees, birds, and a variety of wildlife. Naivasha has a number of plush resorts with well manicured gardens, towering acacia trees, and various other plants offering stunning lake views. After checking into the resort, we take a walk around the expansive resort with the call of birds, the fragrance and bright colors of flowers, and the wide variety of plants and trees mesmerizes. The most prominent are the acacia trees with their thorns and short leaves, a favorite feed for the tall giraffes. Alongside are euphorbia trees resembling a giant cactus with thick green branches forming a candelabra like shape. Sago palms, agaves, amelia, and other ornamental plants lend beauty to the landscape. Various other shrubs and bushes with thin pencil like branches are seen all around. Naivasha is a huge flower growing region, primarily due to the quality of the volcanic soil and abundant water from Lake Naivasha. Large flower farms in the area grow flowers like roses, carnations, lilies, daisies, orchids, and chrysanthemums and supply them to export markets in Europe, Middle East, and beyond. Many such plants and flowers are seen in the resort, in addition to wild flowers and native flora all around. The resort also teems with a large variety of birds, whose incessant chirping and calling resonates all around, making for a lively atmosphere. Colorful starlings of all varieties are seen flying all around and sitting hesitantly on the grounds. As we were having tea, a group of superb starlings, a shimmering blue and orange bird, lurked around, looking for an opportunity to dive in and take a peck at the food. A black and white vervet monkey leapt around the roof and sat on the window sills, staring at us humans for invading their habitat. A group of Hadada ibis cranes, with their raucous sounds, made way through the open grounds, searching for worms or insects. Some hammercobs, their heads shaped like a hammer, are seen foraging for food in the lawns. Out on a nature walk at the resort, we came close to a group of Maasai giraffes grazing peacefully in the adjoining grassland. Their long necks stretch gracefully as they reach for tender acacia leaves, using their long tongues to strip the foliage while skillfully avoiding sharp thorns. Sunlight casts a warm glow on their patchy, irregularly shaped spots, which blend seamlessly with the landscape. Every now and then, they gently swing their tails to shoo away flies and pause to gaze into the distance. The occasional rustling of leaves and the soft crunch of hooves on dry earth fill the air, creating a serene and timeless scene of nature in harmony. Giraffes prefer to eat acacia tree leaves. While these trees have long thorns, which prevent most animals from eating them, giraffes use their long tongues and prehensile lips to reach around the thorns. The dark color of their tongue is believed to prevent sunburn while reaching for the leaves. Giraffes have thick, sticky saliva which coats any thorns they might swallow. Giraffes can involuntarily control blood flow to the head when they are bending down to drink water. As the evening sets in, the air fills with calls of the nestling birds, echoing across the tranquil waters, blending with the rustling of acacia trees. Piercing cries of eagles, squawks of herons, combine with melodic chirps of smaller birds like weavers and warblers to create an unforgettable symphony, capturing the essence of Naivasha's rich bird life. A flock of storks are seen clattering and crowding in their favorite nesting place on the branches of a tall acacia tree. Cut to the lakeside, where a group of hippos have woken up from their slumber in the day and clamber up to the hippo feeding point, where the helpers have piled grass for them to feed on. These hippos jostle against each other and make deep guttural sounds while munching grass. Younger hippos sometimes indulge in playful nudging or mock fights. They occasionally lift their heads to scan for threats, and if disturbed, they quickly retreat to the water. The hippos spend most of their time in water. They are known to be aggressive animals, and their attack, if provoked, can be deadly. A male adult can weigh between 1400 to 2500 kg, whereas a female adult can weigh up to 1400 kgs. A hippo bite is said to be more powerful than that of lions. The hippos come to the land by dusk to feed on grass, vegetables, and fruits. Each hippo can consume up to 40 kg or more. They do not chew the food but swallow it. It has a complex three layered stomach but does not chew cud. Considering their size, they consume a relatively small amount of food, just 1 to 1.5% of their body weight per day. This is mainly due to their sedentary lifestyle. A hippo will travel 3 to 4 kilometers per night in search of grass. By dawn, they get back to water. Though chubby looking, hippos have little fat. The eyes, ears, and the nostrils of hippos are placed high on the roof of their skulls. This allows these organs to remain above the surface of the water while the rest of the body is submerged. The hippos can make underwater calls by transmitting vibrations. The hippos can open their jaws at almost 180 degrees. An adult hippo is not a particularly good swimmer, nor can it float. It rarely enters the deep water. When it does, it moves by bouncing off the bottom. An adult hippo surfaces every 4 to 6 minutes, while the young need to breathe every 2 to 3 minutes. Hippos move on land by trotting and are reported to reach speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour, even faster than humans. They are incapable of jumping but can walk up steep banks. Hippos mate in water, with the cow remaining underwater. The gestation period for the baby is 8 months. Cows give birth in seclusion on land or shallow water. The calf on birth weighs around 50 kilos. The young are carried on mothers' backs in deep water. Hippos are known to be very aggressive, particularly when it comes to protecting their babies. In one known 2014 case in Niger, a boat was capsized by a hippo and 13 people were killed. In 2018, The hippos of Lake Naivasha killed 6 people, one of which was a tourist who came far too close to take a photograph. Lake Naivasha is said to have a hippo population of around 1500, spread in different groups of territories. Male hippos establish territories in water with breeding access to all the cows. Challenge to the territory by other bulls is met with fierce fighting. In the morning, we set out to take a ride around the Naivasha lake and to see the crescent island in a tiny canoe with motor. The hippos were now playing around or sleeping in the water.
Wow, beautiful. Stop.
Apart from the hippos, the lake is teeming with birds of all kinds, shapes, and sizes. As we moved closer to the lakeside, we could see a variety of cranes, herons, and egrets scouting the waters for their feed. Kingfishers, eagles, pelicans, cormorants, egrets, and many other bird species thrive in this bustling ecosystem. A flock of Egyptian geese move along with their goslings. We could see the majestic African eagle perched on the bare, high branches, scanning the lake's surface for their catch. A tiny pied kingfisher darted around, flapping their wings, hopping tirelessly between low branches, constantly turning and occasionally diving into the water to return with a fish gripped in their beak. Pelicans glide effortlessly across the shimmering waters of the lake, displaying their large pouched bills. Their white and grey feathers stand in contrast against the deep blue of the lake. The air is filled with the gentle lapping of waves and the occasional splash as pelicans swim, a perfect display of grace and precision in motion. Great cormorants sit on tree branches or rocks, waiting for their next fill. The cormorants eat only fresh lake water fish. They can dive up to 6 meters in water in search of fish and can stay submerged for up to 30 seconds in the water before they come up for air. Some say that they swallow pebbles to help them sink, but their specialized feathers are adapted to dive freely. The name Naivasha comes from the Maasai word Inai Posha, which means rough water. Occasional storms and rains in the lake can make the water choppy at times. Lake Naivasha, spread over 139 square kilometers, is the third largest lake in Kenya after Lake Victoria in Turkana, and it is the highest lake in the Rift Valley. It lies at a height of approximately 1900 meters above the sea level. It is a relatively shallow lake with an average depth of 6 meters. The lake looks like an eerie graveyard of trees with many acacia tree trunks half submerged in the water. Once they grew on Lake Naivasha's shoreline, but since the year 2010, heavy rains have flooded the lake and surrounding areas, leading to the lake rising by several meters. The lake also has a variety of freshwater fish like common carp, tilapia, bass, guppy, etc. The fish community in the lake has been highly variable over time, influenced by changes in climate, fishing effort, and the introduction of invasive species. The most recent shift in the fish population followed the accidental introduction of common carp in 2001. 9 years later, in 2010, common carp alone accounted for over 90% of the mass of fish caught in the lake. Between 1937 and 1950, the lake was used as a landing place for flying boats on the Imperial Airways passenger and mail route from Southampton in Britain to South Africa. It linked Kisumu and Nairobi. Joy Adamson, the author of Born Free, lived on the shores of the lake in the mid 1960s. On the shores of the lake is Osirian, otherwise known as Gin Palace, which gained notoriety in the Happy Valley days between the two world wars. Floriculture forms the main industry around the lake. However, the largely unregulated use of lake water for irrigation is reducing the level of the lake and is the subject of concern in Kenya. Fishing in the lake is also another source of employment and income for the local population. Lake Naivasha, once described as the jewel in the crown of all the East African lakes, has in recent decades been subjected to a series of devastating human pressures, not least the establishment of a vast horticulture and agriculture industry along its shorelines, but also the ever increasing inflows of nutrients from siltation, sewage, and other effluents emanating from a lakeside human population now approaching 1 million people. After driving through the lake and watching the extensive bird life, we approached the Crescent Island, an island shaped like a crescent in the middle of the lake. Crescent Island is a small private sanctuary in the lake where the visitors are allowed to walk freely along with animals such as giraffes, zebras, waterbucks, wildebeests without any threat of danger from other predators. Stepping onto the Crescent Island, you immediately feel like you have entered a secret paradise, one where wildlife roams freely, and the only sounds are the rustling of acacia trees and the distant calls of birds. The 1985 Hollywood film Out of Africa, starring Meryl Streep and Robert Redford, nominated for 11 Oscars, was extensively shot in Kenya at various locations. Many of the animals were brought to the island from other nearby parks at that time to create an authentic African landscape, and many of their descendants still roam freely on the island today. Trained animals like lions were brought from the US for the shooting and were returned, making the island a safe haven for the rest. As we begin our guided walking safari, the sheer beauty of the island unfolded before us. Rolling grasslands stretched towards the shimmering lake, dotted with giraffes, zebras, wildebeests, and antelopes, all grazing peacefully. Without predators like lions or cheetahs, the animals are calm, allowing you to get remarkably close, a surreal experience for any wildlife lover. We were greeted at the entrance to the crescent island by an ostrich, which was furiously pecking away at a wooden table, as if it had found its nemesis. Ostriches are the largest birds in the world, standing up to 2.8 meters tall and weighing as much as 145 kgs. They are flightless but can run at speeds up to 45 miles per hour, using their powerful legs to escape predators. Ostriches lay the largest eggs of any living land animal, with each egg weighing about 1.4 kgs. Burying your head like an ostrich is a common phrase indicating oblivious to danger and stupidity. However, this is merely hearsay. Ostriches do stretch their long necks flat on the ground when they sleep, which looks like they are burying their head in the ground. The ostrich eyes are bigger than its brain and are located on the two sides, giving it a wide field of vision, making it easier to detect any predators. The male is mostly black but has white plumes in the wings and tail. Females are mostly brown. Ostriches live mainly on vegetation but also take some animal food, mainly insects. They can go without water for long periods. Breeding males emit lion like roars and hisses as they fight for a harem of 3 to 5 hens. A communal nest scraped in the ground contains more than a dozen shiny white eggs. The major hen of the harem may get rid of some of the eggs to make incubation more manageable. The male sits on the eggs by night, the females take turns during the day. The chicks hatch in about 40 days and, when a month old, can keep up with running adults. The first set of antelopes we encountered on the trail was Naivasha waterbucks with their shaggy brownish grey coats. They have large rounded ears and white patches above the eyes, around the nose, mouth, throat, and rump. They have adorable heart shaped noses. Males have beautiful wide spaced ringed horns that curve back from their heads, adding to their handsome profile. The males are about 25% larger than females. The waterbucks generally stay close to the water as they need to drink 2 to 3 times a day. They can handle the coarse grass around wet areas that are too tough for other grazers. They feed morning and night and typically rest and ruminate during the day. Their skin and hair give off an unpleasant oily smell which affects the meat and deters predators. This oily protection also acts as waterproofing. They are also good swimmers and will retreat into deep water for safety. Calves are generally born throughout the year, although breeding becomes more seasonal in some areas, after which a single young is born. The mother hides her young for about 3 weeks, returning 3 to 4 times a day to suckle it. Each suckling session lasts only about 5 minutes, during which time the mother cleans the calf so that no odor is left to attract predators. Although the calves begin to eat grass when they are young, they are nursed for as long as 6 to 8 months of age. After weaning, they begin to wander off, and young males often form all male groups near the occupied territories, while the young female stays in the mother's group. The waterbuck does not reach adult weight until about 3.5 years old. Females mate again soon after bearing young, within 2 to 5 weeks. The waterbuck lives to 18 years in the wild and about 30 years in captivity. Next to the group of waterbucks, we spotted a few dik-tiks, one of the smallest antelopes in the family. Dik-tiks generally move in pairs and are shy animals, hiding when they spot strangers. Dik-tiks stay as couples, they stay together till death do part them. If by bad luck one of them dies, the remaining one becomes suicidal. The remaining one can even surrender to a predator due to loneliness. Next, we were able to come close to a zebra, a stunningly beautiful animal with shining black and white stripes. There are three species of zebra: the Grevy's zebra, the mountain zebra, and the plains zebra. What we spotted in Crescent Island is the plains zebra, the smallest of the species. Every species of zebra has a different pattern of stripes, differing in shape, size, and direction. Like human fingerprints, each zebra's stripes are unique. The plains zebra has broad stripes that are horizontal on the rump. They have whiter legs and bellies and more brown shadow stripes between black stripes. They have shorter legs and have a convex head and concave nose profile. Zebras are herbivores that consume plants. Zebras primarily eat grass, but will eat other plants if grass is scarce. Zebras are social animals and live in groups called herds. There is typically a lead male of the herd called a stallion. The herd also consists of several females and their young. The stallion stays at the back of the group to defend against predators. When zebras are grouped together, the stripes make it difficult for predators, including lions and leopards, to pick out one zebra to chase. Zebras communicate with each other through facial expressions, ear positioning, and sounds. They make loud braying or barking sounds and soft snorting sounds. Their ear positioning, how wide open their eyes are, and whether they show their teeth all send a signal. Fun fact: zebras can close their nostrils to keep out dust. Underneath the coat with black and white stripes, the animal's skin is black. The majority of zebras lead fairly social lives. Plains zebras live in small family groups called harems, with one male, 1 to 6 females, and their offspring. The bonds of the females in the harem are strong. They will stay together even if their dominant male leaves or is killed. The zebras are always on the lookout for danger, keeping vigilant for signs of lions, hyenas, leopards, and cheetahs. When plains zebras sense a predator, they use a high pitched sound to alert the herd. At night, at least one member of the group stays awake to keep watch. Zebras can defend their herd and territory by kicking, biting, and pushing predators. They will engage in similar aggressive behavior to display dominance in mating or when another stallion attempts to take over their herd. If a zebra is attacked, other zebras come to its defense and form a circle around it to ward off the predator. A more common form of self preservation in zebras is running. They can travel as fast as 40 to 55 miles per hour to escape from threats. Vervet monkeys are seen all around, prancing on branches and sitting on the ground. Away in the distance, we then spotted a pair of tall and majestic Maasai giraffes. A group of giraffes is called a tower. Giraffes are the world's tallest animals with long legs that allow them to reach speeds of up to 35 kilometers per hour. Maasai giraffes are the tallest in the family. They have uneven brown spots that resemble uneven puzzle pieces or oak leaves. On their foreheads, some Maasai giraffe have a noticeable hump. At the top of their head are two ossicones, which are tiny horns covered in skin, present on both male and female animals. Their tongues are 18 inches long and they like to eat from towering acacia trees. They also consume bark, twigs, and flowers during their 16 to 20-hour feeding cycle. They obtain their water from fresh vegetables and can go for weeks without drinking water. Their neck alone can be 6 feet long, taller than an average man, and legs are also about 6 feet long, allowing them to run quickly. A giraffe's heart is 2 feet long and weighs about 50 kg. A giraffe's eyes are the size of golf balls. The next to be spotted was the elegant Grant's gazelle, easily distinguished by the broad white patch on the rump that extends upward onto the back. This was followed by a group of impalas. Male impalas, except the dominant ones, are generally found grazing alone. Male impalas have long and curved, black, ridged horns which can grow to 90 centimeter long. The impala has red brown fur with white patches on their belly, chin, lips, inner ears, tail, and above the eyes. Down the tail, across the forehead, the thighs and tips of the ears are black. Male impalas establish their territory, gathering a group of females, fighting any other male who tries to enter it. A threatened impala can jump up to 9-meter distance and 2-meter height to escape from predators. Also spotted in the distance were a confusion of wildebeest, the main flock of animals along with zebras that migrate in hordes from Serengeti to Masai Mara in the season July to September, providing a grand spectacle at the Mara River. Here, however, they are confined to the island and go around in circles without any fear of predators. Also known as the gnu, the wildebeest is a member of the antelope family. They have a large, box like head with curving horns. The front end of their body is heavily built, while the hindquarters are slender with spindly legs. They have a grey coat and a black mane, as well as a beard that can be black or white. They are known to produce loud, moaning, and snorting sounds. The majority of female wildebeest give birth around the same time. The island is also a bird watcher's paradise, with over 200 species calling it home. A group of pelicans fly overhead, forming ever changing patterns in elegant styles. Apart from other birds like cranes, egrets, storks, geese, etc., spotted on the lake shore, we also saw hammercobs, blacksmith plovers, African jacana with long legs, also called the Jesus bird, starlings, weavers, and wagtails on the island. As you reach the island's highest point, breathtaking 360-degree views of Lake Naivasha and the distant Mount Longonot reward your short hike. Crescent Island feels truly a magical place where nature and tranquility blend seamlessly, making it a must visit for any traveler exploring Naivasha. Over the years, the island has been a refuge for animals fleeing rising lake waters and human encroachment. Even today, the conservation efforts continue to protect its delicate ecosystem and biodiversity. In the past decade, Lake Naivasha's water levels have fluctuated significantly, at times turning Crescent Island into a peninsula connected to the mainland. These changes have impacted both the island's shape and access, but its wildlife and scenic beauty remain untouched. Today, Crescent Island is one of Naivasha's top ecotourism destinations, attracting travelers who want to experience a peaceful, up close encounter with wildlife in a breathtaking natural setting. It remains privately owned but open to visitors for guided walking safaris, offering a unique glimpse into Kenya's rich wildlife and cinematic history. Next spot on our itinerary was the Hell's Gate National Park, which is also an adventure park without any threat of predators, where you get the freedom to explore the park on foot or by bicycle. We chose to travel the length of the park in a Land Cruiser, but we could see a large number of tourists choosing to leisurely cycle on the open tracks. As we drive through the wide open savanna, flanked by towering cliffs and volcanic rock formations, the sense of raw wilderness is overwhelming. Zebras graze lazily beside the cliffs.
They have run away.
Giraffes cross the dirt paths without any fear whatsoever. Warthogs, or Pumba as they are called commonly, snort around. Baboons watch curiously from the roadside. Hell's Gate also has a large variety of birds in the park. With no large predators, you can truly immerse yourself in Hell's Gate Nature Park. The highlight of the trip is reaching the famous Fisher's Tower, a jagged volcanic plug that rises dramatically from the ground. Local Maasai legends tell of a girl turned to stone for disobeying her parents, adding a mystical charm to the already striking landscape. For thrill seekers, rock climbing here is an unforgettable experience. Nearby is the central tower, another scenic volcanic plug formed by semi molten rock forced through a fissure. Further ahead, the terrain changes as we reach the entrance to the Old Jorova Gorge, a breathtaking canyon sculpted by ancient lava flows. At the entrance to the gorge, we are greeted by locals selling horns and skeletal remains of various animals. As we go down to the gorge in a steep descent, we encounter a totally different world altogether. The gorge is a narrow break in the cliffs, once a tributary of a prehistoric lake that fed early humans in the Rift Valley. It received the name Hell's Gate by explorers Fisher and Thompson in 1883. The area is famed for the volcanic activity, with nearby Mount Longonot erupting in the early 1900s, and ash content is still seen in the surrounding soil. Walking through its narrow passageways, you encounter steaming geothermal vents, hot springs, and sheer rock walls, making it feel like another world. The heat intensifies as you navigate the winding paths, some so narrow you have to squeeze through. Along the way, local guide shares tales of how the gorge inspired scenes in Disney's The Lion King. Disney's animation team visited Hell's Gate and other parts of Kenya, including the Masai Mara and Serengeti, to draw inspiration for the film's setting. The park's towering cliffs, gorges, and wide open savannas influenced the design of Pride Rock and other landscapes in the film. Hell's Gate Gorge and Fisher's Tower resemble some of the rocky formations seen in the movie. Tomb Raider 2, The Cradle of Life, and King Solomon's Mines were partly filmed here. The gorge features steaming vents and natural hot springs, where underground heat warms the water. Walking through the gorge, you will see boiling water trickling down the rock walls, creating stunning formations. Some parts of the gorge, like the Devil's Kitchen and Devil's Shower, showcase extreme geothermal activity. In case of heavy rains, there might be flash floods, which can be very dangerous. There have been reports of accidents in the past. 7 young people from a church group were swept away in 2012 by floods while walking in the gorges. 6 tourists died in the year 2019. There are various parts of the trail called Devil's Mouth, Point of No Return, Devil's Bathroom, and Hell based on cliff formations and degree of difficulty, making it an eerie but awesome adventure. Hell's Gate National Park is one of Kenya's most geologically active areas, with geothermal activity shaping its dramatic landscapes. The park sits in the Great Rift Valley, an area formed by tectonic movement, leading to hot springs, steam vents, and geysers that create a surreal, otherworldly atmosphere. Hell's Gate is home to the Olkaria geothermal station, the first geothermal power plant in Africa. The plant harnesses steam from underground reservoirs to generate electricity, supplying a significant portion of Kenya's power. Back from the gorge, we go to a geothermal spa, which is operated by KenGen, Kenya's power generation company. This geothermal spa has three cascaded lagoons. The first lagoon collects hot brine water with temperature up to 90 degrees centigrade from various wells in Olkaria geothermal field. The second lagoon is overflow from the first with temperature up to 50 degrees centigrade. The third and largest lagoon has temperature up to 35 degrees centigrade and about 400 people can swim in this area. The heat and mineral rich waters are said to have therapeutic benefits. Many people believe that the water at the spa has health benefits such as ironing out wrinkles, promoting fluid balance, and improving the immune system. Olkaria Geothermal Spa also has a separate steam sauna, a cafeteria, and an exhibition hall. We felt immensely refreshed after a dip in this water. There are several other places to explore around Naivasha as well. Mount Longonot is a dormant volcanic crater on the way to Naivasha, which is thought to have erupted in the 1860s. Mount Longonot National Park was named from the Maasai word Olunongot, meaning mountains of many spurs or steep ridges. The park is located southeast of Lake Naivasha. The park distance from Naivasha is 27.2 km. The park's best views can be experienced from the hardest climb. From the park, one can have unobstructed view of the Lake Naivasha and the Great Rift Valley. Mount Longonot hike will take about 4 to 6 hours depending on one's endurance. Not very far from Lake Naivasha is a small, beautiful volcanic crater lake fringed with acacias called the Crater Lake. The jade green crater lake is held in high regard by the local Maasai who believe its alkaline waters help soothe ailing cattle. Another nearby lake is Lake Olidion, originally part of Lake Naivasha. The two water bodies are now separated by a 200-meter stretch of elevated land. Oloidian is a very calm and peaceful place, boasting a rich diversity of over 400 avian species. The Naivasha Raptor Center is located on the Kilimandage Sanctuary, South Lake Road, Lake Naivasha, designed to serve as a first base for incoming injured birds, where initial treatment and housing is provided, as well as longer term care for recovering and permanently injured raptors for public educational display. The Enashipai Ma Museum, located in the Enashipai Resort and Spa, is the first privately registered museum in Kenya. This is a unique museum where the renowned curators have put together artifacts from Maasai culture predominant in this area. While en route to Naivasha, don't forget to stop by at the Mai Mahiu Catholic Church overlooking the Rift Valley. Also known as the Travelers' Church, it was built by Italian prisoners of war in 1942. The building went up despite great challenges, such was their dedication to worship. It is the smallest church in the country. Further along the Moi Lake Road, Oserengoni Wildlife Sanctuary is a privately owned 18,000-acre flora and fauna paradise. It is home to a diversity of wildlife that includes leopard, Grevy's zebra, Maasai giraffe, bat-eared fox, buffalo, hyena, aardvark, and many other plains game. The wildlife sanctuary and surrounding lakeshore is host to over 400 bird species such as African fish eagle, Narayana trogon, grey-crested helmet shrike, rufous-crowned roller, spotted eagle owl, and Somali ostrich. The Zwager family has created a tourism venture consisting of a luxury safari lodge, Chui Lodge, and a boutique lakeside restaurant, Ranch House Bistro. These provide the opportunity for people to stay and explore the Oserengoni Wildlife Sanctuary and experience for themselves conservation in practice. Funds raised through tourism are reinvested into the Oserian Two Lakes conservation programs. About 70 kilometers from Naivasha is Lake Nakuru and the national park, best known for its thousands, sometimes millions of flamingos nesting along the shores. Massive flocks of flamingos come here to feed on the cyanobacteria, or blue green algae and plankton, thriving in its alkaline waters. The national park is also home to a wide variety of wildlife. Lake Nakuru has a rhino sanctuary with a fenced area to protect the rhinos from poaching. The park has about 100 to 150 rhinos, with 80% being white rhinos. On the way to Nakuru is Lake Elementaita, a shallow alkaline salt lake in Kenya's Great Rift Valley. It is a vital breeding and feeding ground for many bird species, including the great white pelican and flamingos. The lake is also home to a variety of wildlife, including giraffes, leopards, and lions. After spending a few days in Naivasha, we were reluctant to get back to city life. We were left with many indelible memories of our trip in this piece of heaven. Naivasha is an incredible destination that blends adventure, wildlife, and relaxation. Whether you are boating on the lake, hiking in the national park, or simply unwinding in a lakeside lodge, this charming town guarantees a memorable experience. If you are in Kenya, make sure Naivasha is on your travel list.